Hi, good morning. Now, in this session, we are just discuss about a small algorithm which we use to color a graph properly, which is known as greedy coloring algorithm. And the process is very simple. We start with any arbitrary vertex and color it with the color one. Then, after coloring the vertex one, we consider a second vertex and we color the second vertex using a color uh, say which is of lowest number. So we usually now name the number colors as c1, c2, c3, etc. So if the second vertex can be colored with color c1 itself, then we color it with c1. If it is not possible, then we use another new color, that is maybe c2. So then we go to the third vertex, and if it is possible to color with the color c1 then we use color c1. Then if not, we just try the color c2. And if c1 and c2 they are both of them are not possible, then we introduce a new color and color the third vertex with the new one, and we proceed in this way till the last vertex. That's the greedy coloring algorithm. It's very straightforward method to color a graph. So we just try to color this particular graph using our greedy coloring algorithm. So we start we start from some arbitrary vertex, and the colors are named as c1, c2, etc. c1, c2, etc. So we start with an arbitrary vertex. So let it be here. We color the first vertex with the color 1. So we color the first vertex here with color c1. Now we move on to the second vertex, and this one is adjacent with the first vertex, and therefore it cannot be colored with the color c1. So we have to use the second color c2. Then we go on to the third vertex. Say we can choose vertices arbitrarily, but we follow a particular pattern that will make things easier only because of that. Anyway, here this is our third vertex, and at the third vertex, it is not adjacent to our first vertex, and therefore we can use the color c1 for this vertex. Now we move to the next vertex, and this one is adjacent to a vertex which is colored with the color c1, and so we cannot use c1 here. So the next index is c2, and okay, this vertex is not adjacent to any vertices which is colored with c2. So the c2 can be used here, and we proceed to the next vertex. It is here, and to color this particular vertex, this vertex is adjacent to a vertex which is colored with c1 and another vertex which is colored with c2. So we cannot use c1 or c2 here. So we have to use a new color, say c3. So far we use three colors, c1, c2, and c3. Now, so this vertex is colored with c3. Then move on to a vertex here, and this is adjacent to a vertex which is colored with c3, so we cannot use c3 here. Then we check whether the vertex can be colored with c1. So when we observe the adjacent vertices, there is no vertex which is already been colored with c1, so we can easily put c1 here. Then here, next vertex, it is adjacent to a vertex which is colored with c1, and there is no other vertices which is being colored already. So it is possible, it is not possible to use the color C1 here, but we can use C2. Now we move on to the next vertex, and in this case it is adjacent to a vertex which is colored with C2, so C2 cannot be used here, and here C1 is used in this particular vertex which is adjacent to our chosen vertex. So we cannot use C1 or C2 here, so we use the color C3. Now here the next vertex, C1 is not possible to use here. There are two vertices which are already been colored with color C1 and adjacent to the chosen vertex. So C1 is not cannot be used here, and C2, color C2 is also used in an adjacent vertex, so C2 cannot be used here, and the color C3 can be used here. So we can use C3 here, C3. Now there is one more vertex remains, and C3, C1. Okay, to start with C1. C1 is not used in any vertices which are adjacent to the final vertex. The colors C2 and C3 are used in the adjacent vertices. So you can use the color C1 itself to color this particular vertex. So that is how we color this particular graph in a proper way. So this is a straightforward methods to color a graph properly using somewhat minimum number of colors. But always remember, this method does not provide the chromatic number of the given graph. Maybe this particular graph may have a minimal coloring. So it only give a proper coloring of the given graph. So that is a greedy coloring algorithm which can be used to color graph.